See, operand forwarding is a technique which is used to resolve the conflicts which are caused by RAW, read after write hazards. And now coming to the write after read and write after write hazards, in order to resolve these conflicts, we are going to have a special method which is called as register renaming. So register renaming says that whenever there are some write after read dependencies or some dependencies like this, you can rename the registers. So in general, they will be in this concept. In this concept, there will be lot of temporary registers available. And there will be temporary registers T1, T2, T3, T4 like this, okay, T5, T6 like this. Now if there are any instructions which are causing these dependencies, let us say there are two instructions like this, R1 needs R2 plus R3 and then R1 R5, R4 plus R5, something like this, then it is a write after write dependency, right? So in this case they say that since if you use the same register R1, then what is the problem with this is, if this particular instruction executes first, then its value is going to be written, and if this one executes next, then this value will be written onto this. Let us say because of some delays or because of the way the pipelines are sometimes constructed, assume that this particular instruction is going to be delayed because it is multiplication, and this particular instruction, let us say, is going to be executed fast, right? So assume that it is possible somehow. Then what happens is, if this one writes the value of R1 first, let us say the value computed here is 100, and then this one tries to write it later, then the value will be, let us say the value computed is 200, the final value will be 200, which is wrong. In that case, it can be resolved like this. When you are executing this instruction, let us say this instruction is I10 and this instruction is I11. When you are executing this particular instruction, one of the temporary registers will be renamed as R1, which means for this instruction R1 means this register, and at the same time for this instruction when it starts execution, the one of the other registers will be renamed again as R1, and for this instruction this one will be acting as R1. So what happens is, during this execution whatever value it has to write, it will write here, and during this instruction whatever value it has to write, it will write it here, right? And finally whatever is right, that particular register will be, this value will be registered, stored into the register R1, right? So this is called as renaming. Temporary registers will be renamed according to how you want to use it. So one more example I'll take and explain you in case if you didn't understand it. Let us say we have a dependency. This dependency is write after write. Let us say we have the dependency write after read. So what does when does this dependency happen is, assume that we have some operation like this, R3 star R4, and then maybe we have something like this, R3 is loaded with some memory from address 100. So this is trying to read something and it is trying to write into that operation, that register. Now before this particular instruction gets executed, if this particular instruction gets executed, then the problem is, instead of reading the initial value of R3 in this instruction, you will be reading the value which is written by this instruction, which is wrong. Are you getting this? Let us say initial value of R3 is 100, and this particular instruction is supposed to read this 100 and perform this operation. But before this instruction gets executed, let us say pipeline has executed this instruction and its value is being replaced by 200. Now after writing, if this particular instruction tries to read it, it will read a wrong value. So in these cases also, what happens is, we will be having temporary register. Let us say this is a temporary register, some temporary register. This will be renamed as R3 and it will be loaded with the initial value, which is 100, and this R3 will be used for this instruction. And later whenever this one is being done, then some other temporary register will be renamed as R3 and it will be assigned to this instruction. Therefore, when it is trying to write the value 200, it will write it here without any overlap, right? So that is how we can avoid it. But then your pipeline should be having the hardware built in order to perform this renaming after detecting the hazards, right? So your pipeline should be smart enough to detect the hazard, and after detecting the hazard it should be smart enough in order to perform all this, the register renaming and resolving the conflicts. Got it? So anyway, register renaming is also being used like this. But then there are no questions asked in GATE regarding this topic, right? There are no numerical questions, but this is the concept. So in case if you want to understand it, register renaming is being used to resolve some of the data hazards, and it is a concept in which temporary registers will be renamed for some time and later they will be restored back. Okay, fine.
Hi, if you are planning to do masters, then doing masters abroad is better than doing masters in India. I'll give you all the reasons. So first reason is, out of 1 lakh students who take GATE every year, there are only 500 seats in old IITs. So all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%, and IITs, universities better than IITs, they have very good acceptance rate like 30%, 40%, but all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%. And if you are working hard to get into IIT Bombay's ranking is 177 and IIT Roorkee's ranking is 400. If you are happy to get into IIT Roorkee, then getting into universities better than IIT Roorkee is easier compared to getting into IIT Roorkee. And looking at the salaries for computer science, for software jobs, if you have done your masters in computer science in US, the salaries are ranging from 80 lakhs per year to 1.2 crore per year. So even if you take an average of 1 crore per year, your savings will be much higher than the salaries in India. After taxes and your cost of living, you can easily save 40 to 50 lakhs per year. And in India, the maximum jobs that you get is around 30 lakhs. So your savings will be much greater than the salaries in India. And these are all the services that we provide. University shortlisting. So depending on your profile, we will shortlist what are the universities that you have to apply, and statement of purpose building, and then LOR guidance, and GRE and English test assistance, and education loan assistance. So you don't have to have any collateral, which means without any security, now you can get education loan. Getting education loan is very simple these days, and whatever the amount of fee that you have a range of universities. You can apply for 10 lakh universities, 20 lakh universities, or 50 lakh universities. But whatever it is, you are going to get complete education loan, and you can pay off your education loan in 1 year after you get a job. And then we do visa assistance, mock visa interviews, and then connecting with the university alumni. So now you might ask why we should join Game of Visas. So the answer is, we have 90% success rate, 99% success rate. And these are all the destinations that we guide the students to. So we guide students to any country that you want to go. So now it is not just USA. We guide to UK, Germany, Australia, Canada. So we guide students to all the countries. We work with all the destinations. And if you are interested in going abroad, you have to just drop us a message on this WhatsApp number 9494 555 454. Okay, thank you.